This program is intended for informational purposes only and does not contain medical advice. As always, please contact your physician or qualified healthcare provider with any questions regarding a medical condition.
But we also don't want to play it like some of our counterparts were not out here wilding, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it is not made up.
No.
Some of those girls were wilding, right?
Right.
But I also see it from the other side. We're single women.
Mm-hmm.
We're around other men.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Who else are we going to date? The guy at the post office?
Right.
You know what I mean? So we dated. We did our thing.
She was not talking about dating.
Oh,
you know she wasn't talking about dating. Girl, stop it. Wow. Okay. You guys have no idea what is going on behind the scenes, but my cameramen are amped and they gave me like an infusion of energy, huh?
Yes.
Oh,
Love it.
I know. Okay. Welcome to Hot and Bothered with Melyssa Ford. Today, I am sitting with one of my best friends and favorite people on this entire planet. You know, there's people that come into your life that you just know that the two of you were meant to be on the planet at the same time and your paths were meant to cross. And that is this girl that is sitting right next to me. This is one of my best friends, my consigliere, the friend that I go to, he's not going to lie to me. The friend that I go to who is not just going to automatically give me sympathy and there me and tell me that all is right with the world and I've done nothing wrong. If I'm wrong, she's going to tell me. She that friend. And sometimes it takes me a minute to want to come back. But without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to one of my best friends, Natasha Maloney. Thank you for sitting with me today, sis. Nicknamed Baby Mama. Hi, Baby Mama.
Baby.
Let's get a little cheers going.
Cheers. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Now, as some of you may know, just by looking at her, very familiar face from the world of music videos. We kind of came up together.
I mean, it was fun.
Hold on.
Okay.
Don't jump the gun. Do not jump the gun. Okay, so we came up together. We met in 2005. And you know, I've got a question right here because this is something that I've never asked you before. There's going to be multiple themes over the course of this interview. And the theme that I'm going to be starting off with is female friendship, you know, and also mean girl culture. Because I'm having a moment right now where I'm being accused of such, but I'm not Tyra and this is not about me. So I want to talk about when we met. I was living in New York. You were visiting. I remember we went to a party. Don't really remember much. But it was really big. And there was, we were those girls at the party. That's what I remember. I remember meeting you, having seen you in music videos and just thinking that you were just one of the most striking women I'd ever seen in my entire life. And I can't tell you that pictures and video don't do justice. It's a crime how stunning this woman is and always has been. But people thought that we wouldn't get along. They told me that. They were like, y'all met and y'all cool?
Why? Because of our personality.
Well, so I was going to ask you, did you receive the same, skepticism and,
I still do to this day.
Really?
You are shocked.
Okay, well, tell me why.
Still friends. Because they have this perception of who you are.
How is it me, though?
In a perception of who I am.
Okay, all right.
That the two just wouldn't mesh. Okay. But deep down, they don't know how we are. I mean, we've been through our things, right? We've had disagreements. We've had to take some space away. Then we've come back because our souls love each other, right? But yes, at first, they thought it would be jealousy, competition. That was never a problem for us.
I agree with that. I mean, I feel like one of the reasons why our friendship has been successful, and by successful, that does not mean that it has not undulated and experienced its problems. I mean, true love and friendship or a real relationship has to be tested. And if you come back together after those, extreme tests, well, then it just was meant to be, and one of the things that I think is the foundational kind of crux of our friendship is how we view competition. We both think I'm only in competition with myself. I'm not in competition with anybody else in the entire world. What's for me is for me. What's for you is for you. There's no point in me coveting that, because why? And we're a little different. I don't know if you guys have noticed that there's a slight difference. We used to people call us ebony and ivory. We're all kinds of things, because I get super pale, especially in the winter. So I'm really I get Caucasian. So, I wanted to, when she walked in here, I thought to myself, I asked her, I was like, how do you want me to identify you? Like, what are your identifiers? What do you want? How do you want me to introduce you? And then I thought to myself, it's a better question that she answer that for you guys, because I was reading this book called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And it is a very, 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 very powerful book. It is not a difficult read by way of, comprehension, and, it's not a tomb, but it is so esoteric and so cerebral that it's hard to get past chapter 4. And it's hard to read this book without a highlighter highlighting everything and sobbing your face off and then calling your therapist. It's that kind of book. But chapter 4 in this book is, who are you? So when I ask you the question, who are you? Give me your identifiers right now as you know them.
Wow. Who am I?
But don't think too deeply. Just off the top of your head, quick rapid fire. What are your identifiers right now?
Confident.
We're getting too deep.
Am I?
Wife.
Mother.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent friend. Excellent advisor. Wise woman.
Mm-hmm. You just recently got a new job offer.
I did accept, and right, businesswoman. Oh, the list goes on and on and on. Straight shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Help me out. What else?
I mean,
I didn't know these.
I do, and these are all the things about you. But when it comes to this chapter, what I found to be fascinating was most people do identify themselves usually by gender, station in life, status, and societal identifiers like wife, mother, husband, brother, father, sister, aunt, nephew, all of these things. But when you take those things away, no. Who are you? And then you go down the list of, well, I am a woman, and I am confident, and I am compassionate. Nope. Who are you? Those are still identifiers. This chapter makes you think a lot about, it makes you just think a lot about not society's need to constantly categorize, and how we sometimes fall victim to it in a way that we look to achieve things that if we really considered who we were at our core, like the being that is in the seat of consciousness up here. So when this husk dies and this goes off to find, it's a spirit, it's the consciousness that goes looking for another husk to inhabit. Exactly. Who's that person? And that is a question that most people are not prepared to answer, because it is extremely esoteric. It's a little bit too deep rooted, and most people are very comfortable within those identifiers. And so I'll just ask you, since you're sitting here, the beautiful husk that you are, what's your favorite identifier? the way that you identify yourself, the one identifier you say with pride, with your chest out.
I will answer that. I think that today I want to be fully transparent.
Oh, yay.
I want to be truthful with how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I want to live the life that I want to live. I want to stand in my truth. And if it doesn't follow societal constraints, I'm okay with it and be different from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
It changes for me all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Who I was 5 years ago, I'm not today. And I'm sure you can say the same.
Oh, yeah.
Like the shit.
Even a year ago.
But even a year ago. Is being truly yourself an identifier?
I guess to a certain extent it can be. I think it can be. Let me go back to a time where we might not have known, who we truly were. And that is a question that I have for you because, coming up doing music videos, we were swimming in treacherous waters, shark-infested waters, and like all of the analogies that I use to describe what it was like at that time, frontline soldier, in the trenches, like it's a very militarized way of describing, how we felt like we needed to survive back then, because I mean, it was just the wild, wild west. People were just, nobody knew what they were doing. Everybody was just kind of crashing into the wall and winging it. There was no HR. There was nobody to complain to. There was there was nothing like that. So, I feel like we survived differently. I always felt like you were always so much more sure of yourself than I was. I just acted like it. And my facade was unimpeachable. Maybe not to you, you could see it, but everybody else. But like, what was your perception back then? Is it similar to mine, or do you view that time differently? Where I look at it as, survival of the fittest and constantly had to have your back to the wall and on guard and hyper vigilant and whatnot. Did you process things that way?
Not really.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I need to know more.
For me, it's something that I always wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Growing up in a family, and in Caribbean family or Caribbean household that didn't want me to go that route, wanted me to go to college and become an attorney or a doctor. So it's something that I always wanted to do, mm-hmm. But I'm a planner, right? So I wanted to go in and get out.
Do music videos. Okay.
Go in and get out.
That's interesting because my story is not the same. Like, I wasn't planning to do music videos. It was not on it wasn't on the bingo card. It really just it fell into my lap as an opportunity, and it just kept falling into my lap. And I was like, well, this is travel and it's cool and it's money. It's great money, but it was not something it was not an aspiration for me, but it was a small aspiration for you on the road to whatever.
I wanted to model. Okay, but at the urban world, that's where we started in the videos, right? It was really hard because, as you know, they weren't looking at dark-skinned girls back then. Mm-hmm. So I was focused on being that dark-skinned girl that you wanted in everything. Mm-hmm. So I think that drove me to, seek it out. Mm-hmm. And when I got in it, it was hard.
Describe your hardships, because you were beautiful, and I also want you, when I say describe your hardships, I also want you to talk about some of the non-PC things that you might have heard at that time. Like, I'm basically saying the term token Black girl. One of the things that would be said on sets was light is right. I mean, shit would.
You're pretty for a dark-skinned girl?
Yes.
That shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, no, yeah, no, not at all.
Oh, you're pretty for a dark skin. Can I just be pretty?
Mm-hmm.
Why does it have to be for a dark skinned girl? You know what I mean? So I came around. I think my first video was in 2001. It was Fiesta with R. Kelly. And Little X picked me and gave me my first start. But I remember going to auditions prior to that. And I would walk out the room and I would hear these people saying, no darkies, no dark skin. We don't want any. So I was undeterred. It didn't matter. You don't want me, the next person will, right? So eventually I started auditioning more. I started getting more comfortable. The confidence was there and it happened.
I feel like once X saw you, then you no longer had to go to real castings because he really
put me on the map.
Yes, and he also really likes darker complected women. That's kind of his thing.
You need.
Yes.
You just need one.
Yes, you just director, not artist.
Exactly.
You need the director to vouch for you yes, that's what you need. So, okay. So you've gone through castings. You finally, cross paths with director X. He puts you in Fiesta. He's just like, you're stunning. I'm using you all the time, et cetera, et cetera. Did you know that? Did you have any kind of idea that your participation in music videos would lead you to become a trailblazer?
No.
No idea. We just here shaking ass, getting some money, and that's it. I just did an interview with the ladies from Poor Minds. Shout out to Drea and Lex. What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time we had together. I mean, we spoke for 3.5 hours. But one of the things that they really stressed and what they wanted to give me flowers for, and I feel like they would do this if they were sitting here talking to you or Gloria Velez or, Tay Heckard or Sasha, if we could say something to Pasha, is that we were responsible for changing the standard of beauty as it was prior to our participation in music videos. And whether or not we knew it at the time, I was just like, child, you had to pick me up off the trailer floor crying about wearing like a bikini because I thought that I was too fat. I thought I was fat. I was voluptuous. I called myself fat. I had severe self-esteem issues and body dysmorphia.
No one knew.
Which is, I should be a case study actually, because it's a little crazy. So just to be clear, you had no idea that you were a trailblazer, especially you, because, the whole pretty for a dark-skinned girl, no darkies rule, et cetera, that they used to say. So you had no idea that you were going to be responsible or counted as one of the people responsible for changing the standard of beauty.
I had no idea. And I think even when I was in it, I had no idea.
You didn't feel like a sense of responsibility while you were doing music videos?
I wanted to prove to you that beauty is not just light. Light ain't right. Like that whole mentality, that's what I wanted to change, right? I wanted to get on your screen and just lock you in.
Boy, you did. You did. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do, girl. I've never asked you, what was your favorite video to shoot? I feel like I might know. Can I tell you?
Yes.
Dwale, subject?
I love Dwale.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And youngins, if you don't know that song, please search it right now because that song is incredible. Yes. It is one of those songs that just, it stands the test of time. Yes. Generationally. It is just a beautiful, beautiful song. And you were the perfect choice for it. But was that your favorite?
It's one of my favorites.
Okay, don't you dare say Uchiwali. I'll punch you right now.
Claiming that one. I'm not claiming it. I think there were so many and I had fun on all of them, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that I loved the one with Wyclef.
Mm-hmm.
Two wrongs don't make a right. Because I'm Haitian, he's Haitian, the entire cast and was Haitian, and I love that song. But I loved all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had fun.
Did you?
Oh my God, yes.
So I get asked a lot. Oh my God, Melyssa, what were like video sets like? Like, were they like, was it like so like debaucherous, like orgies and stuff like that? Talk about, because we were not on a lot of video sets together. Did we do
Two?
Yeah, did we do Happy People together? We did have Happy People, yes. And if
That's it.
I think that's it. That is crazy to me. But so a lot of people ask me about my, like how I felt like videos were. Was it debaucherous? Was it just like a nonstop orgy? And I was just like, oh my God.
We were stars.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding?
Mm-hmm.
We were stars. We got flown out. We had budgets. We had per diem. We had drivers taking us to and from set. And the videos were 2, 3, 4 days long back then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now they try to, put it in one day and shoot it from their iPhone. I mean,
hey, it is what it is. It's a different time.
It was a different time. And sometimes I miss those times.
It was so simple then. It was just so simple to just wake up and be pretty and young and everybody wants you and then that's it. And then you just go wherever the wind takes you and it's just going to be amazing.
Couple party and walk in. It'll just be going.
It would just be like,
make some money.
Yeah.
Move on to the next.
It would be fantastic.
It's simple.
Did you ever feel unsafe?
Never.
Okay. How do you feel like you protected yourself? Or do you think that it was just your face? Like the faces, I wish you would.
Well, listen, I think that I did what I wanted to do. I was never pressured into anything and nobody would mess with me, Melyssa.
Yeah.
I'm not one.
She's scary. She's scary. Like, she's stunningly beautiful and really scary. Like, she's Haitian, okay? We're going to get to that a little bit later. But
I was just not one of those girls that you could just get to do whatever you wanted to do. Whenever I did it because I wanted to. So I never got messed with a lot. You know?
Did you ever know stories or hear stories? Okay, well, without saying any names, what are some of the things that, came past you in terms of the things that you heard?
The artists that I worked with a couple times, like the younger,
Oh, I wonder who that was.
They're ladies.
I wonder who that was.
And a couple of them popped up on set, and they were young. So, you look back and you're like, you know what? Some of the things that are being said about you in retrospect are true. I witnessed it. It's a sex-filled environment.
Do you think so, though?
It can be.
Okay. So did you do the Whisper song?
Mm-mm.
Let me ask you this. There was some songs that when I got the call to do a video, I took into account who the artist was, what their reputation was, the song, and the lyrical content of the song. And if I thought that it was way too salacious, way too hypersexual, and way too objectifying and, just filled with too much bitch and hoe and just all the derogatory terms about women, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that one. I'm not doing that one. Did you have the same kind of mentality?
Yes, I think I did. And I think that I was always directed that way because, our manager, Lashana, would always tell us, know where you want to be and pick the projects that you want to be on. But as you can see, all of the projects that I've done are not too sexually driven or too raunchy.
Yeah.
Because I don't personify that. Like when you see me, you don't see raunchy. I'm sorry.
No, it's true.
So I don't think I could have pulled it off. But we picked the projects we wanted to do. We're in a position to pick what we wanted to do. And that was great.
Yeah, it was. It was a very fortunate position to be in. So one thing that I discovered when I watched a documentary called Vixens on BET, they interviewed myself, they interviewed Buffy the Body, they interviewed Lola Monroe, who was at that time known as Angel Lola Love.
Beautiful.
God, just, oh stunning.
Yeah.
And what I learned by watching that was that when a certain book hit the newsstands, they felt the perception shift.
It did.
Where at one point we were put up on pedestals, and then that pedestal got kicked out from underneath us. And they talked about how they had to just weather the constant storm of, judgment, that they were promiscuous, and just this attitude that we were all of the same ilk, just based on that particular book. And before that moment, that was 2017. Before that moment, I thought it was just me. I thought it was me that bore that was my cross to bear, that I had to walk around and keep defending every single woman that had ever participated in a music video, to let them know we are not a monolith. We are not all the same, that a lot of women showed up to do these music videos. And it was an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. And we went home afterwards. And so that was the moment where I was like, oh, wow, it affected more than just, me. And I really felt like I wish I'd known that, because I really felt so alone, and I really would have liked to have had somebody to share that experience with. And so I never talked to you about it. So I wonder, what was your assessment of how everything went? Here we are, we're treated like goddesses. We pick our projects and stuff like that. And then, the budgets start to get smaller. So our rate ain't being honored the way that it used to be. Work is drying up. And then this book comes out, and the perception is that we're all like this. How did this affect you?
It was time to go. It was time to move on.
So exit ramp.
Exit.
And did you have a plan?
No.
Okay, so describe that. Describe a time in which you felt like the stink was on you, and not because you did anything. It's because of the perception of all video girls after this book was so pervasive.
Yes.
Is there a moment in which you can describe where you really felt you were treated like that?
Yes. I remember hosting a few parties afterwards, and how the accolades are different. The approach was different.
Mm-hmm.
The
approach from who?
Men.
Okay.
They were different. The regard was different, right? We were stars, and then eventually people thought whatever they thought based on this book. It was unfortunate, but for me, it was just my time to move on to something else, And how long could we have?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How
much longer could we?
It's not sustainable.
Exactly.
You have to want to take the exit ramp. For me, I started to solicit television hosting opportunities with BET, and thankfully, I can walk and chew gum at the same time. So they were like, well, this would be great. She comes with a built-in audience. So yeah. And also I proved that I had, determination and discipline and dedication. And I was willing to just not get paid just to prove that I can do this. I had no sense of entitlement. I had no ego. Point me in the direction of where I got to go, who I got to interview, and just watch out. So the exit ramp for me came before the book, because I was working at BET when the book dropped it, because everybody was reading it. And I was just like, But so for you decide to take the exit ramp, but what does that look like for you? What were you thinking of doing?
I was thinking maybe I should, at that time, acquire a skill outside of entertainment. I went back and forth on maybe I should move on to movies and commercials and acting. But after a while, after having it so easy, right? It takes you a while to transition.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know what I wanted to do for a while. So I went back to school. But I was still auditioning here and there.
What'd you go to school for?
I went to school for business administration.
Okay. That's a hell of a skill.
And I knew that I would never use it, but I needed.
Hey girl, ever.
Because I'm not.
But you know what? I feel like you have used it though, because I mean, we'll get to where she is, in her life right now, both professionally and personally, which is just, it's so fantastic to see and witness for my friend, because I mean, she manifested the shit out of dreams, but these were not dreams that you had when we were in the trenches.
Right.
You know, we were just like, whatever, you know, just whatever. But
we also don't want to play it like some of our counterparts were not out here wilding, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it is not made up.
No.
Some of those girls were wilding, right?
Right.
But I also see it from the other side. We're single women.
Mm-hmm.
We're around other men.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Who else are we going to date? The guy at the post office?
Right.
You know what I mean? So we dated. We did our thing.
She was not talking about dating.
Oh,
you know she wasn't talking about dating. Girl, stop it. We weren't talking about dating.
But that was, I feel like that needed to be done too. To just, you know, like put light on the shit that happens behind the scenes. And, you know, and that was her story. So, and we found out it wasn't true, right?
Well,
part of it?
Well, that's still up for debate. I mean, all the men that she talks about in the book, they definitely were like, that's not true. And we're like, really? It might be, though. It might be true. It might have sucked for everybody, where she was just the sole double on top. Yeah. Pun intended. But it might have, you know, we might have been on like the negative receiving end of all the criticism, and she might have been like the sole beneficiary of, you know, just whatever, like there was tons of money, New York Times bestseller list, et cetera, the accolades and whatnot. There was a difference between what she was talking about and what we were doing, just operating as single women, dating in and out of the industry and whatever the case was. But so I want to know, did you feel, I'm always bringing it back to a sense of responsibility. Did you feel some level of responsibility to clean up the image that you weren't even responsible for dirtying or you know, just for dirtying is a good word. You weren't even I wasn't responsible for it. You weren't. A great many of us were not. But did you feel any level of responsibility to speak up on the behalf of all of us as a collective, to dismiss or to try to like dismiss the negative connotation that was now sitting on us? Damn, you had it easy, girl.
Right, but you know, mind you were the face of that world that we were in, right?
Okay.
I was more on the
peripheral-ish, kind of, sort of.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if anything needed to come out, it probably would come out from you and people would listen to you. But I stayed in the back and just watched everything happen. And I didn't feel like I had to defend anything.
With great power comes great responsibility.
It was all your responsibility, queen.
I is tired, boss. I is tired. Okay? Really, really tired. You take the exit ramp, you go back to school, you start studying business administration. I feel like this coincides with you pursuing acting classes. You now have moved from Miami to LA. Okay, so we are in the mid to late 2000s. Okay. How different was your life when you moved to LA from Miami? Because Miami seems like a really like fun happening town. It's sleepy. It's sleepy.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun when everybody descends on it for like Art Basel or Memorial Day or whatever else is happening. But then the rest of the time, it is a sleepy town,
Right.
you know?
I needed to get out.
Yeah.
So I got out and I moved to LA and I ended up living in LA for 15 years.
That's a bid. Yeah. After living in New York and LA, I can easily say, people are like, what's the difference? I'm like, New York is hard on your body, but LA is hard on your soul. Do you feel that way?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Survival of the fittest.
So what was life like living in LA as an ingenue, this young, beautiful chocolate girl. Did you find that colorism existed even in that industry? This is your experience, Mama. I don't have it because, I'm as white as the paper.
Colorism has followed me my entire life. You're talking about a Black woman who has an accent, who is dark, who is different in so many ways. There were advantages to being me, right?
Tell me about an advantage, because I don't think that that's discussed enough. What was the advantage to being...
People wanting to be in my presence, people wanting to know me, people wanting to date me, whether experimental or not.
Be seen with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I knew it, and I went along with it.
You were always so good at that. Yeah. Okay, well, let me ask you this. We're talking a lot about colorism and, just different situations that you, experienced highs and lows in. How did it affect you mentally? Because, now we have a whole different vocabulary about mental health.
Yes.
Than we did back then. It was just shut the fuck up. This is life. School of hard knocks. This is what it is. Gift and a curse. So don't complain. So how did colorism affect you, like your mental health? Now that you are much more in touch with the soft marshmallow version of yourself.
Marshmallow.
I call her Marshmallow now because her kids and her husband have softened her out. Christ she was like a jagged edge. Oh God, I want to tell the story about the tequila bottle. So badly.
The tequila bottle I drank?
Yeah, that one. No, okay, but all seriously, how did it show up in your mental health? Like, what did you have to do? How did you have to reconcile, overhearing these really negative comments made just about your complexion, because it's not about your beauty.
Right. I never told you this, right? We've been friends for like almost 20 years?
Yes.
I grew up with my aunts bleaching their skin.
Can I ask, and I don't mean any offense by this is genuinely a question, because it's a cultural thing in parts of Africa. Is it also a cultural thing in Haiti?
Yes.
Okay, I did not know.
The men are attracted to lighter women. Okay. So I grew up seeing them using lighting cream, and because of that, from 8, 9, 10 years old, I just learned to love who I am.
But how?
I don't know.
You can't think of the moment that... Let me give you an example. My own personal example, and then maybe you find the example for yourself. So one time, I think I was like 6 or 7. I'm outside playing with my friends, and one of my friends from across the street, their cousin from the States came over, and they're all white. I grew up in an all-Italian neighborhood, but I didn't really notice that there was a difference between me and them, complexion-wise, hair texture-wise, the fact that I had one white parent, one black parent at home, and they had more of a homogenized family unit, aesthetically. And so the cousin said, "Oh, you're a nigger." ER. And I'd never heard the word before. And I was like, "No, I'm not." Because, it sounded like an accusation. I don't know what the word means, but it's like hard N, hard G, hard R. It's not a pretty word. Even by the standards of a child who's never heard the word before, it sounds like an indictment of some sort. It sounds insane. And so instantly I'm like, "No, I'm not." And he's like, "Yes, you are." And I couldn't understand this like rush of feeling these emotions that didn't make sense to me because I'm 6 and 7 years old, but I felt shame. I felt humiliation. I felt embarrassment. Because how did this person that I've never met before accomplish all of this stuff by just labeling me as something that I don't know what it is, but I know it seems like it's a hurtful term, but I'm confused right now. So I go home crying, and my father was just like, "Get over here." What is wrong? Who did it? What's going on? And I didn't want to tell him because I was so embarrassed too. A 6-year-old feeling shame, humiliation, embarrassment. Like, that's wild. And finally he just got it out of me. I was like, the boy across the street, he called me this. And my dad grabbed me by my shoulders and he said, the next time somebody says something like that to you, you tell them that you have the best of both worlds. I'm like 6 or 7 years old. And when I say that got etched in my brain to where that is how I started, that's why I don't really go back and forth with people about, well, define who you are. You're biracial, but whatever they try to project onto me. I have never felt this pressure to define which side do I, align myself more with, or whatever the case is. I am what I am because that's what I am. And that's it. That's the only conversation. That's it. It's not even how you view me. It's irrelevant. It's how do I view myself? So I'm interested because you had all of these examples of women that were living up to a standard of beauty that forced them to change their physical appearance and harm themselves to a certain extent. At 8, how did you have the resolve to say, that is not me, I am beautiful, and there's nothing left to discuss?
My husband tells me this all the time. We've been together 10 years. He says, you are so resilient. You're able to flip your mind. From the time that I've been a young girl, I just have seen examples and decided to pivot. I saw these women, my mother even, right? I didn't have a great relationship with her, but whenever I would see her, they grew up around men that preferred lighter women, right? So I would see them at night, putting the creams on. And mind you, that shit hurts because they can't expose themselves to the sun, right? Seeing this at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, somehow you develop a sense of like, this is crazy. I'm either going to go this way or that way. I just decided to pivot against that. There's this personal confidence and love. And maybe it's through affirmations. Maybe it's through just a self, I don't even know how to explain.
A strength in self?
Yes.
Self-esteem, self-worth.
Self-worth. Mm-hmm. And you know me, I've always been the type of person that can focus on some shit and make it happen.
Yeah.
I can manifest anything. I can believe anything and see it happen, make it happen. So for me, it's an innate just want that I have. From seeing that, you're going to love me as I am. Mm-hmm. Dark, and I'm going to drive you crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a magnet. One of my affirmations are, when I walk in the room, the energy changes.
You better say that. Yes, it does.
So I believe in it. And being dark hasn't stopped me from getting everything I want.
I love that.
I don't know if that answers your question.
It does.
I still don't know what it was. Maybe it's from watching them doing this shit, and I
and that might just be enough. It was a visual of something that you just saw as your soul sensed it was, in spirit sensed it was just wrong.
I remember one night I saw my aunt, and she lives in Boston now. We're not too close. She would put Clorox in the tub and just lay in it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because the person she wanted to marry only liked light women. And this is in Haiti. This is true. I'm 8 years old on the island and I'm seeing this, right? I'm seeing the women that my father like are all lighter.
Yeah.
And the ones that aren't get light within 6 months.
Did your father ever say anything to you that indicated that you were a lesser form of beauty? Because
never.
That's very ironic. That's very ironic.
Yeah.
That he would maybe verbally or non-verbally indicate to women that my preference is light, but for his daughter, he would never say anything that would ever make her feel like she had to change. That is interesting.
My father made me the strong person that I am today because he told me to stand in who you are. You know what I mean? Be strong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any issue with men because my father was in my life.
Yeah.
I have an issue with vulnerability and soft.
Yeah, you do.
Women because my mother wasn't in my life.
Yeah.
So for me, although this is what he liked, he just pumped us up with, confidence and knowing that you're the prize and all of that stuff.
So let's revert back to talking about women, not necessarily just in, the world of video modeling, because now here we are, we're talking, mid to late 2000s, you're acting,
Yes.
and you're living in LA and you are this strong, confident, beautiful woman. But let's talk about mean girl culture, and I want to know some of your experiences with it because we are two very different people.
Mm-hmm.
You are very intimidating, very intimidating, and you know it and you love it and you embrace it.
Yes.
I've been very different
Yes.
about that.
Yes.
Like you don't hold your tongue for anything. Like you wish a bitch would, but I have always been, nope. I have to be poised and composed and elegant and all that.
That's worse for you, right?
Not really.
Agree?
Not really. I mean, look, it's worked for the perception. Yes, there is people that when they meet me, they say Miss Ford. They regard me as an elegant and poised and composed woman. But it has also allowed people to think that they can try me and that I'm a doormat and that I won't say anything when you do heinous shit to me. And now I'm embracing this this version of myself that has really had it.
And I love it.
I know you do. Because you little agent of chaos, you. I'm right behind you. I'm right behind you. I love having you right behind me. So I feel like we've had different experiences with mean girl culture. My experience has been that I felt like people would take one look at me, assume women don't like me, so I had to overcompensate. Yes.
Did you?
That's the way I felt for a really, really, really long time. And in that way, I could end up in very compromising positions where I'm around women that do not have my best interest and don't really actually like me and will betray me at the drop of a dime and talk about me and assassinate my character and try to dismantle my reputation and stuff like that. And I don't feel like I ever witnessed anything like that happen to you because of our approach. So I'm wondering, these are my personal experiences with mean girl culture, but it's not about me. I'm really interested to find out, did you ever experience mean girl culture and what did it look like? Or were you perceived as the mean girl?
I was a mean girl.
Let me tell you.
Was that a trick?
Well, yes, it was, because we get into 2009 when we almost went to blows.
I mean, you pissed me enough.
Hold on, but did I really, or did somebody put a battery in your back?
That battery was put in there. Why did I?
Yes, they put a battery in your back and sold you some whoop cookies and lies about things that they said that I did that I never did. Right.
And for that, I apologize.
We are way past that, baby mama. No. That doesn't even matter. But mean girl culture, and this is interesting because I was on the opposite, side of the fence.
Yes.
So being the mean girl, were you okay with that moniker?
For a moment, I was.
Tell me more.
Because it makes me unfuckwittable.
Okay.
Is that a word?
It is a word, but in what way did you think that you needed to have defense? It
was my defense mechanism.
Against women?
Against women, yes.
Why?
LA is a tricky place.
Tricky is a really nice word.
The industry that we're in is a tricky place. You want to expose your heart and have real friendships, and then you find out later on it wasn't so.
It's a very transactional place.
Right. So for me, after a while of going through some relationships and breakups and fallouts, I built this wall.
Mm-hmm.
And the wall came with this facade where I don't give a fuck. You get in my way, you don't get it, right? But that comes from immaturity.
Mm-hmm.
What were we, in our 20s?
I was older than you. I'm 4 years older than you.
Okay, so late 20s?
Right? Yes. So back then I would have been 32, so you would have been 28. Mm-hmm.
So I think that I became a mean girl because I didn't want you to F with me. Mm-hmm. And if you did, you'd know something was coming, right? But I didn't want to be that girl.
Tell me more about that, about not wanting to be that girl. Like what were the dark nights of the soul for you? The nights that, you lay in bed, you're by yourself, you're in your head. What would happen?
A couple of times I heard, "Don't F with Tasha, she's crazy."
Mm.
I'm not crazy. I just don't want your bullshit. You know what I mean? But that could be interpreted so many ways that it's a couple of times that I got physical.
She almost did with me. I'll never forget it. It was SB. It was SB. It was SB weekend. We were at a gifting suite. We hadn't seen each other in a minute. There was just rumors of flying and somebody was putting a battery in her back because it benefited this person to get her to hate me, because they were really just very jealous of our friendship and how close we were. And our communication level was not great. We were young.
It wasn't.
So our communication sucked. And so you believed what was said. You didn't ask me. And I didn't try to contact you because I didn't even really actually know what had been told to you. But we're in an SB gifting suite and she is trying to fight me. And the person that is stopping her is our manager at the time, LaShawna Stanley. And she was just like, She was like, "Melyssa, I was like, I'm out of here."
I did that?
Yes, you did.
Oh my God.
Yes, you did. And I was just like, it wasn't that I
needed to be medicated.
Yeah, you did. It wasn't that I had a fear of fighting you. It was that I thought that if we fought, we'd never find our way back to each other.
It wasn't necessary.
It was so stupid.
That's how far I went to protect me.
Yeah.
After being in LA for so long and being exposed and feeling used or lied to. You know what I mean? I just wanted to fight everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy we didn't.
Yeah, me too. Because I feel like you can land a punch.
I was about that life.
You were about that life. I know.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Love you.
I love you so much too.
If I fought you, I would have never pulled off your wig. So,
girl, I wasn't wearing a wig back then. Shut up. Shut up.
Okay. Your tracks.
What? 2009? That was all me. That was all me, right? Anyways, so we get past that stage, that one very tumultuous. That was our first really big fight.
Oh.
That was our first really big fight. We made it past that.
And someone was basically directing me to fighting their fights.
Yes, yeah, no, that's clear. Yeah.
And I was in such I wasn't clear-minded at that time. I was probably angry with my own life and taking it out on you. And when I go there, I go there. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. This is not, we're past this. We're past this. I want to get to the point where our lives, even though like we came back together, our communication level, went up a notch.
Yes.
I'm not going to say that, it was, Green Gables for the rest forever. Yes. No, it wasn't. Yeah. It went up a notch. We made promises to each other of like, okay, we can't ever let somebody get in between us. And that never happened again.
Yes.
But time passes, interests change, trajectory of life changes, goals change, everything changes. And I feel like there was a moment in which I thought we were still in the trenches together dealing with these Negroes, and I want you to talk about what idea you had for the man that you were going to be married versus the man you are married to now.
Oh,
who your prototype was, not a name, but just a visual example. But hold on 1 second here. So I'm here thinking that we're in the trenches. We just doing this stuff. We dealing with these Negroes. We're saving each other from ourselves. Like whenever we're.
Oh my God! I was gonna set somebody's house on fire. Melyssa.
You were totally going to set somebody's house on fire. And you were like, Melyssa, you got to come with me so I don't kill him.
I'm holding the...
But do you remember what my first question was?
No.
Are we flying first class? Yes. On there. whatever. It's fine. I don't give a shit. Got you. I will hold you back, girl. I got you. But
And you were there right away.
listen, I want a hot towel when you get on that fucking plane. But so here I am thinking that we're in the trenches together and you have a completely different plan. You got a completely different plan for your life.
Yeah.
You want to get married.
Yes.
You want babies. I didn't get that memo.